When was the last time you tried to recall a loved one's phone number, or the route to a familiar place without the help of a navigator? We live in an era where our memory is gradually migrating beyond the confines of our bodies. Smartphones, cloud storage, and social networks are becoming external hard drives for our memories. We entrust them with not only work-related data, but also the most personal moments of our lives, from a child's first steps to the last words of departed loved ones. This isn't just a technological revolution. It's a fundamental transformation of how human memory functions. Our brain, which evolved over millennia to remember vital information, is now adapting to a new reality where what needs to be remembered isn't the fact itself, but the path to finding it. This digital metamorphosis of memory opens up astonishing possibilities, but also raises troubling questions. Are we losing something important by delegating the function of remembering to machines? Are we preserving our cognitive autonomy when our memories reside in the cloud? The history of human memory is inextricably linked with the creation of external information carriers. Our distant ancestors, drawing hunting scenes on cave walls, took a revolutionary step. They for the first time moved memory beyond the confines of their bodies. These rock paintings served not just as decoration, but also as a way to transmit experience to subsequent generations. Then came oral tradition. Epics, legends, and tales, passed down by word of mouth, demanded incredible mnemonic abilities from storytellers. Human memory was the sole repository of collective experience. The invention of writing about 5,000 years ago fundamentally changed humanity's cognitive landscape. Now, knowledge could be accumulated without relying solely on human memory. Socrates feared that writing would make people forgetful, as they would cease to train their memory. Perhaps he was right, but it freed up mental resources for new tasks. Book printing democratized access to knowledge, and photography, for the first time, allowed for the precise preservation of visual images of the past. Each technological innovation expanded the capabilities of external memory and changed how we think and remember. Today, we are experiencing another transformation, the digital one. But if previously each new information carrier appeared over centuries or millennia, now changes occur within a single human lifetime. From the first personal computers to cloud storage, only a few decades have passed. Our memory continues to evolve, but the pace of this evolution is unprecedented. When was the last time you flawlessly recited a loved one's phone number? Most likely, you just tap their photo in your contacts. And the date of an important historical event? Why strain your memory if the answer is 2 clicks away? This is precisely how the Google effect works, a phenomenon discovered by psychologists at Columbia University in 2011. Its essence is simple. We remember information we can easily find online less effectively. Our brain, like a thrifty proprietor, conserves resources. Why expend energy memorizing what's always at hand? Studies show that when performing tasks, people automatically turn to search engines, even if they could manage independently. Neurobiologists have discovered an interesting fact. The structure of memorization is fundamentally changing. We increasingly remember not the information itself, but the path to it. Not who is Dostoevsky, but where to find information about Dostoevsky. The brain creates cognitive maps of digital space instead of storing the data itself. Experiments with fMRI demonstrate that when accessing search engines, different brain areas are activated than during traditional memorization. New neural connections are formed, adapting us to the digital world. We are becoming memory cyborgs, where a part of cognitive functions is delegated to technology. However, the price of such a transformation can be high. The depths of information processing decreases. We skim the surface without delving into details. The ability for critical data analysis deteriorates. Finally, dependence on devices grows. Without them, we feel helpless. But there is also a positive aspect. By freeing the brain from routine memorization, we gain resources for creativity and solving complex problems. Perhaps we are not degrading but evolving, creating a new form of extended intelligence where human and machine act as a single entity. Your photos are no longer stored in family albums, they live in the cloud. Your diary has moved from the nightstand to a smartphone app. Your memories of important events are captured not only in your mind, but also on social networks. We have become witnesses to an unprecedented phenomenon, the externalization of memory, where the most personal and intimate, our memories, exist outside our bodies. Every day, billions of people entrust their most precious life moments to servers located thousands of kilometers away. This trust is so profound that we rarely ponder its nature. Psychologists call this cognitive extension. We perceive digital storage as an extension of our own memory. When you upload a photo to the cloud, your brain registers this action as, "I remembered this," although in reality, you have delegated the remembering to a machine. This illusion of control creates a paradoxical situation. We feel that we own our memories, but physically, they do not belong to us. This affects personal identity at a deep level. For who are we, if not the sum of our memories? When a significant portion of autobiographical memory exists in digital space, the boundaries of our self become blurred. We become hybrid beings, partly biological, partly digital. Neurobiological studies show that when people lose access to their digital archives, they experience stress comparable to losing personal belongings. This is digital amputation, a feeling that a part of oneself has been severed, and yet the externalization of memory gives us incredible opportunities. We can store memories with a precision unattainable by the human brain. We can share them instantly across continents. But the price of these opportunities is dependence and vulnerability. We live in an era where our memories are formed not only within us, but also in the digital space of social networks. Facebook reminds us of events from past years. Instagram preserves a visual chronicle of our lives. And Twitter records the collective reaction to historical events. Social platforms have become powerful collective memoirists, influencing what and how we remember. The phenomenon of shared remembering has become an integral part of the digital age. When you post a graduation photo, dozens of comments supplement and enrich that memory. People who weren't even at the event become co-authors of your memory through likes and reactions. Studies show that memories that receive social reinforcement in the form of comments and reposts are more firmly embedded in memory than those that go unnoticed. However, social media algorithms play a crucial role in determining the fate of our memories. They decide which moments will regularly surface in the Memories section, and which will sink into digital oblivion. A photo with 1,000 likes will be shown to you again and again, creating the illusion that this particular event was the most significant in your life. This algorithmic selection creates a distorted picture of the past. Bright, emotionally charged moments are prioritized, while everyday but perhaps more important for personal development, events disappear from view. We begin to remember not what was significant to us, but what received a greater digital response. Social networks also blur the lines between personal and collective memory. When a global tragedy is discussed by millions of users, a collective narrative is formed that can displace individual memories. People begin to remember details of events they never witnessed but discussed repeatedly in comments. Our brain is an amazing tool, capable of changing under the influence of experience. This ability, known as neuroplasticity, allows it to adapt to the digital environment, forming new neural connections and reorganizing existing ones. Modern neurobiological research reveals exactly how this transformation occurs. When you scroll through a social media feed, switching between dozens of posts, your brain actively reorganizes itself, strengthening neural pathways responsible for rapid attention switching. MRI scans show that active users of digital devices experience an increase in gray matter density in areas responsible for visuospatial skills and multitasking. We are literally reformatting our brains to work in a new information ecosystem. However, this adaptation also has a downside. Stanford University studies demonstrate a decrease in the ability for prolonged concentration in people who constantly use digital devices. The brain gets used to constant stimulation and begins to seek new sources of dopamine, making it difficult to deeply immerse oneself in a single task. Neurons responsible for deep information processing are used less frequently and gradually weaken, following the same principle by which unused muscles atrophy. Data on the impact of the digital environment on children's developing brains is particularly alarming. Forming neural networks are configured for rapid but superficial perception, which can forever change the way information is processed. At the same time, neuroplasticity works both ways. Conscious use of digital technologies and targeted practices can strengthen precisely those cognitive functions we want to develop. Our brain doesn't just passively react to technology, it actively participates in creating a new cognitive landscape. TikTok, swipe, like, scroll. Our brain processes thousands of fragmented pieces of information daily. Modern man perceives the world through a mosaic of short, vivid images. This phenomenon has been dubbed clip thinking, the ability to quickly switch between disparate semantic fragments, yet losing the capacity for sustained concentration on a single object. 15-second TikTok videos, infographics instead of long articles, memes as a form of cultural code. These formats not only reflect but also shape a new memory structure. Research shows the average attention span for a single piece of content has decreased from 12 seconds in 2002 to 8 seconds today. That's less than a goldfish. Our memory adapts, becoming more fragmented and associative. We remember not sequential chains of facts, but vivid, emotionally charged images linked by the principle of hypertext. Just as we navigate links on the internet, our memory constructs a complex network of associative connections between disparate information blocks. Paradoxically, such fragmentation of memory allows for covering a much wider range of topics and fields of knowledge. Modern man may not deeply know any single topic, but possess a basic understanding of hundreds of different subjects, from quantum physics to Korean cuisine. This is a peculiar digest memory, where depth is sacrificed for breadth of coverage. Psychologists note, the new generation is better at tasks requiring parallel information processing and rapid context switching. However, the price of this adaptation is a diminished capacity for deep analysis and critical thinking. We remember more, but understand less. Vintage filters on Instagram, digitized cassette recordings, 80s pixel games. Our era is obsessed with digital nostalgia. We yearn for a past that never completely disappears, but merely transforms into new digital forms. This is a unique phenomenon, the emotional experience of bygone days through digital artifacts that exist outside of physical reality. When we apply sepia to a modern photo or listen to digitized vinyl, we create an emotional bridge between the present and the past. Psychologists call this simulated nostalgia, a longing for times we may not have even lived through. 20-year-olds use VHS effects, even though they've never held a video cassette. This is a paradox of the digital age. We collect emotional experiences associated with material objects that have themselves turned into digital code. Virtual museums and archives make cultural artifacts previously hidden in storage accessible. We can view a painting thousands of kilometers away in high resolution, or hear the voice of a long-gone person. These digital resurrections change our attitude towards history. It becomes not a linear sequence of events, but an interactive space where the past is always accessible. However, digital nostalgia has its peculiarities. Studies show that memories existing in digital format are perceived differently than material ones. An old photograph that can be held in one's hands evokes a deeper emotional response than 1,000 images on a hard drive. The tactility and uniqueness of physical media create a special connection with the past that is difficult to replicate in the digital space. The paradox of our time. We can save everything, yet we often get lost in this endless archive. Digital technologies have created an unprecedented situation. For the first time in human history, we are capable of storing a virtually unlimited amount of information. Every photo, every message, every search query remains in digital space, forming our digital footprint. It becomes a peculiar monument to our existence that will outlive us. But this technical possibility of eternal storage contradicts a fundamental human psychological need, the need to forget. Our brain is evolutionarily programmed for selective memory. Forgetting is not a defect but a necessary mechanism that allows us to filter the important from the secondary, the traumatic from the everyday. When everything is saved automatically, we lose the natural selection of memories. Psychologists note, constant access to the past can turn into an emotional trap. A person unable to forget an unsuccessful experience or painful relationships due to constant digital reminders becomes tied to the past. Hence the growing popularity of the concept of the right to be forgotten, a legal mechanism that allows individuals to remove information about themselves from the internet. This is an attempt to regain control over one's own digital biography. Paradoxically, an excess of stored data often hinders access to truly important memories. Thousands of photos in the cloud, hundreds of documents and correspondences create informational noise in which significant moments get lost. We remember everything, and at the same time, remember nothing specifically. Our brain, much like muscles, requires regular training, especially in an era when we delegate memory functions to digital devices. But how to train memory when everything can be Googled? A modern approach demands a balance between technology and natural cognitive processes. An effective strategy is the method of selective digitalization. Determine which information is worth keeping in your head and which can be entrusted to devices. Emergency phone numbers, important dates, key facts of your professional field. These are what should remain in your biological memory. For training, use the method of conscious memorization. When searching for information online, spend an additional 30 seconds actively memorizing it. This simple step significantly strengthens neural connections. Traditional mnemonics are gaining new life in the digital age. The method of loci, mentally placing information in a familiar space, remains one of the most powerful tools. Supplement it with digital prompts. Create mental maps on a tablet. Visualize connections between concepts in special applications. Distributing cognitive load is a key modern skill. Use digital tools as an external memory framework, but regularly train internal resources. For example, before opening a navigator, try to recall the route yourself. Create reminder systems that not only provide information but require its active processing. The practice of digital detox is becoming a necessary element of cognitive hygiene. Allocate time, at least 1 hour a day, when you completely disconnect from devices. Dedicate this period to reading printed books, meditation, or live communication. Research shows that even short periods of digital abstinence significantly improve concentration and the ability to memorize. In a world where algorithms predict our desires and shape our news feeds, is there still room for genuine individuality? This question becomes central in the era of digital memory. When billions of people use identical applications to store memories, the risk of unifying the very way we remember and experience the past inevitably arises. We all take photos from the same angles, use similar filters, and save memories in identical formats. Digital platforms create an invisible architecture for our memory, guiding it along predetermined channels. Particularly alarming is the influence of recommendation algorithms on the formation of autobiographical memory. What we consider personal memories often turns out to be the result of a targeted selection of content that social networks show us. Facebook reminds us of events from 5 years ago, but it chooses not random moments, but those that generated the most engagement. Thus, an algorithmically distorted picture of our past is formed. To preserve genuine individuality, it is critically important to develop a conscious attitude towards digital memory tools. The first step is regular reflection on how technology affects your memories. Ask yourself, why did I remember this particular moment? What role did my devices play in this? The second step is to create personal memorization rituals independent of digital platforms. Keeping a paper diary, drawing, meditative practices of remembering. All these are ways to preserve the autonomy of memory. Finally, it is extremely important to periodically disengage from the digital space entirely, allowing the brain to form memories without technological mediation. We stand on the threshold of a new era, the era of neuro-digital symbiosis, where the boundaries between the human mind and machine begin to dissolve. Brain-computer interface technologies already allow paralyzed people to control prosthetics with the power of thought, and tomorrow they may change the very concept of memory. Companies like Elon Musk's Neuralink are working on creating implantable devices capable of directly interacting with neurons. Imagine the possibility of instantly uploading memories or sharing them with other people. This is no longer science fiction, but a direction of scientific research. However, this technological breakthrough poses fundamental questions for us. If memories can be edited or implanted, what will happen to our identity? After all, a person is primarily the continuity of their personal history, imprinted in memory. When this history can be changed from the outside, do we remain as whole individuals? Neuroethicists warn, without clear ethical principles, we risk losing what is most valuable, our humanity. For a healthy neuro-digital future, boundaries are necessary. Technologies should expand our cognitive abilities, but not completely replace them. Critical thinking, emotional intelligence, and creative imagination must remain the prerogative of humans. We must preserve the right to cognitive self-determination, the ability to decide which memories to store in our biological brain and which to delegate to machines. Perhaps the wisest decision will be to create sanctuaries of memory, personal memories inaccessible to digital processing. These islands of authenticity will become the anchor of our identity in the ocean of technological possibilities. The future of memory is already upon us, and it will be what we make it. together with technologies, but not dissolving into them.